Alright, another IndyCar race just happened. It's the penultimate race of the 2019 NTT IndyCar Series season, the Grand Prix of Portland at Portland International Raceway. Let's recap that race. Before the Grand Prix of Portland, IndyCar announced next year's schedule for 2020. And the biggest move is the removal of Pocono Raceway from that schedule, and they added a return to Richmond. It'll be exciting to see these new cars race at Richmond. During qualifying on Saturday, Colton Herta will get the pole position for the race. At the start of the race, a crash would happen in the first corner. This crash would take out Graham Rahal, Zach Beach, Connor Daly, and James Hinchcliffe. After a lengthy caution, the race restarted. And after that restart, Ryan Hunter-Ray would defend heavily against Alexander Rossi. Coming into turn 1, he would misjudge the braking points, slid past Rossi, and hit an innocent Jack Harvey as they crash out together. During the first third of the race, Colton Herta would lead going into the first pit stops. Although during that beginning third, Colton Herta's lead wasn't that much, as he was being challenged by Will Power and Scott Dixon. Nearing the end of that first stint, Colton Herta would start losing grip on his tires. In his case, he started the race on red, softer compound tires. Dixon, who was in second, on lap 37, he would pass Colton Herta for the lead, therefore forcing Colton Herta to pit earlier than planned. For the most part, because of all the cautions earlier in the race, the strategy was a 2 pit stop race. Sebastian Bourdais had an issue with refueling during his first pit stop, with Herta struggling on his tires and him having to pit earlier than normal. Dixon and Will Power would surpass him, albeit Scott Dixon's hopes for the win would come to an end. On lap 54, he would have to pit to replace a dead battery. With Scott Dixon's issues and the cycle of pit stops, Will Power would inherit the lead. A good bit of racing would happen throughout the middle stint, but Will Power would maintain his lead. Then, after the cycle of final pit stops, Will Power would retain his lead. With just 8 laps to go, Santino Ferrucci's car would just die in the middle of the track on the start-finish straight, which would lead to another caution. With this caution, Will Power leads over Felix Rosenqvist in second and Alexander Rossi in third. Felix Rosenqvist saw the opportunity to go after the win with 4 laps to go after the restart, although Will Power's car was strong and he was able to drive away from the pack. No one could catch Will Power. Will Power would win the Grand Prix of Portland. Felix Rosenqvist finished second and Alexander Rossi finished third. Joseph Newgarden would maintain a decent race to finish 5th. Therefore, he still leads the championship going into the final round. So here's a look at the championship standings after the penultimate race of the season. Joseph Newgarden still leads, with Alexander Rossi moving up to second again in the championship standings, where Simon Pagenaud moves down 1 position in third, with Scott Dixon in fourth being that outside chance of still grabbing a championship at the end of the season. All the other drivers 5th in standings and below are out of contention for the championship. Now it all comes down to the final race of the season at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. I can't wait to see the IndyCars make their return to Laguna Seca for the final race of the 2019 season. In my opinion, Joseph Newgarden will be tough to beat for the championship. It is his to lose. And that is my recap of the Grand Prix of Portland. Like and subscribe, and thank you for watching, guys.